At that time I was taking Yaz, which is the birth control, the pill that you take every day. And I remember a few times skipping it on purpose because I kind of, I don't know if it's 100% I got pregnant on purpose. At that time I was taking Yaz, which is the birth control, the pill that you take every day. And I remember a few times skipping it on purpose.
It's funny how you seem to care about having his permission to talk about him on camera, but didn't care to get his permission or consent when it came to parenthood. So, I'm sure most of you saw that awful video of mummy vlogger Jordan Cheyenne coaching her child into crying for their thumbnail, which was part of the video she forgot to edit out, and luckily the internet was there to call her out on it. After receiving an immense amount of backlash from the community, questioning how she could be so heartless when faced with her crying child, she went dark. She deleted all her videos. And she clearly did this to stop other channels, now outraged with it, going back through her entire catalogue and finding other things she did wrong. Initially, however, her community tab was still active, and under one of her latest posts I found a comment that read, "She gonna apply to Taco Bell by Monday. By the way, she admitted to having a kid without her husband's knowledge a few years ago." Yes, she deleted that video too. And seeing how she's using this kid for clickbait, I don't feel sorry for her. So this comment is saying that she got pregnant without her boyfriend actually knowing and without his consent or permission. I was like, wow, that's kind of messed up, to put it lightly. But quickly, before we go further, massive disclaimer, everything discussed in this video is purely speculative and for entertainment purposes only, and entirely based on my own opinion. Opinion is not fact, so please do your own research before coming to any conclusions. Do not send hate to anyone discussed to. Okay, now let's get back to the video. Before all this recent drama, I'd never heard of Jordan Cheyenne, and probably you hadn't either. And I most certainly hadn't heard of this particular case of her allegedly getting pregnant without her boyfriend's consent. And so I wondered if anyone else had heard of it. And lo and behold, a channel called No BS had made a video on it 5 years ago. He'd made a response video to her video, which apparently was only briefly up after receiving an immense amount of hate from what she said she'd done in the video. The video was titled, "Getting Pregnant Young on Purpose." Now, before seeing this video, I didn't even know this was a thing, but it actually has a name. It's called sperm jacking, spurglaring, or simply put, sperm theft. It's not actually illegal anywhere in the world as of yet, but there are certain groups advocating for it to be classed as a form of SA, since the sexual act is non-consensual. However, I'm not alleging anything happened, only speculating on everything that Jordan herself says in this video. So speaking of the video, let's take a look at it.
The reason I'm doing this one is because I know there are so many new people on my channel, and a lot of you don't know about the whole story about my son. So
So she starts talking about how she's not gonna make this video rambly whilst doing exactly that, but then goes on to describe how all of her friends were starting to get pregnant and it was making her having some type of baby fever.
So basically this was 3 years ago, and my friend ended up getting pregnant, and she started going through her pregnancy journey, and we would always go out and buy clothes for her kid, and her boyfriend at the time was super supportive, and he was like so excited as well that they were gonna have a baby. And I just looked at their situation and I thought it was really bringing them closer together. I know now having a kid will not necessarily bring you closer together. It will not make that person marry you. It won't make that man stay unless in his heart he wants to stay. So you don't need to leave that type of comment in the video. This was like years ago. I did have a different mindset.
As you can see, she's saying that she thought it would bring her and her then current partner closer together if they had a baby, since they were already having some relationship issues, and it could potentially stop them from splitting up. She also then goes on to explain she wanted to fill a void, and so she chose to do so by getting pregnant.
She ended up getting pregnant, and then I feel like just a bunch of my friends or people I knew at the time were getting pregnant, and I was getting like crazy baby fever. I didn't really have too much like going for me, and I just wanted something to fill that space and that void in my life.
Again, this is Jordan saying she felt some kind of emptiness in her life and she wanted to fill that void with a baby.
At that time I was taking Yaz, which is the birth control, the pill that you take every day, and I remember a few times skipping it on purpose because I kind of, I don't know if it's 100% I got pregnant on purpose.
Well, if you purposely stop taking your birth control, then it kind of is. And if it wasn't, why did you title this video, Getting Pregnant Young on Purpose?
I didn't realize at that time how much responsibility and financial responsibility and like how much work a kid is in general. I just wanted like a little family, and I thought I was gonna stay together with this guy who turned out later to not even want to be a father figure.
So you made the decision to make him a father without even discussing it with him prior, or his consent. Maybe you would have known his opinions on fatherhood if you'd have talked about him before you decided to do so yourself.
So I do remember a few times that I had skipped my pill, and then I had woke up the next morning and I was really freaked out. And then I had done that, I think I had done that like 3 or 4 times.
So she's saying she skipped taking his contraceptive whilst continuing to have unprotected sex with her boyfriend, who was still under the impression that they were using contraceptive.
And then like a month went by and I was like really consistent on the pill, and then I don't know, I think I missed it again or something went wrong with my
Something went wrong? What? You just said that you stopped taking it on numerous occasions. That's what went wrong.
My boyfriend was really supportive or kind of supportive at the time. Wait, that was switched up real fast. Was it really supportive or kind of supportive? There's 2 different statements in the same breath. The thing that kind of like broke the camel's back is like the whole journey we had in the NICU, because my son was born very early. He wasn't really there for me. He was working so much.
Although that does really suck that he wasn't there for you, he probably was going through a lot himself considering fatherhood had been forced upon him. He sounds like he was doing what he could given the circumstances, like you said, working a lot, trying to be financially responsible.
He's just basically not willing to be a part of our life if I'm not with him. Like, he wants to be with me, but because he hasn't been a good father figure or a responsible, mature male figure that I want my son to look up to, and I don't want to be in a relationship with him, he chooses to not be around both of us.
Obviously we don't know what happened between them, but from what she's saying, he sounds somewhat responsible. And she's kind of saying that he wasn't responsible and that she didn't want to be with him because of that. But wouldn't you have known that before you started having a relationship with him, or at least wanted to bring fatherhood on him?
So that's a whole nother subject. Just out of respect, I don't have like his permission to talk about him on camera or anything. That's
funny how you seem to care about having his permission to talk about him on camera, but didn't care to get his permission or consent when it came to parenthood. And after this point in the video, she just rambles on a bit. And as much as it sucks she was having some relationship issues, it's really not a healthy way to cope to bring a child into that situation. And the fact that you did so without the father's consent is pretty goddamn awful. And so, as I mentioned before, despite all her socials being deleted to stop people finding out her past, there are still threads online that still have been discussing how she uses her son for views, dating all the way back to 2014. This comment is from a thread on a site called Guru Gossip, where the commenter says, "I feel bad for her son, she's just exploiting him for views. If she was really the loving, caring mother that she says she is, then she wouldn't have her home address listed on her YouTube page. What an effing moron." Another comment read, "She annoyed the crap out of me in her last video. Her poor son was laughing and trying to get her attention and she was so rude." Another one said, "Christian, can you stop? I'm sorry, he's a baby, why don't you film when he's sleeping?" And this one says, "Jordan, quit YouTube. It's very apparent that you do not give your son enough attention. In every video he's crying in the background, begging for attention. It's quite sad. You will never amount to anything on YouTube in your own right, so just quit. Think about your son, he needs you." Plus, in her latest video, when she was holding him and gave him her foundation to hold, he put it right in his mouth, and the top of it was covered in foundation. Gross, poor kid. Then she kept saying, "Christian," in her nice but scolding way. "You're messing up the video. What a horrible mother. Jordan, he's messing up the video because he is 1. As someone who is unable to get pregnant, I find it extremely irritating when people take their kids for granted. She'll make a video exploiting his birth to get more views, but definitely doesn't give him enough attention." And like I say, people have been calling her out on this shit since 2014, so the fact that, this thumbnail stuff was caught wasn't that much of a coincidence, because it's obviously been happening for a very long time. So that's as much as I have for this video, but I'd be really interested to know whether you think what she did was wrong or whether maybe I'm just overreacting. Anyway, leave your comments down below, and I really appreciate it if you like and subscribe, because I'm trying to hit 1K by the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Say what you wanna say to me now.